Today will be Hollywood's saddest day / condolences to our Dick Van Dyke family. Dick Van Dyke is no different from everyone else in Hollywood in that they date, get married, divorce, and do everything else in between. At the age of 20, he began a relationship with Margie Willett, a resident of his hometown of Danville, Illinois. During the early years of his career, the pair resided in Malibu, which they both cherished. They struggled to have children throughout the years and eventually succeeded in having 4, but not without suffering. Willett unfortunately miscarried her twin pregnancy. The actor claimed that while they were in the hospital, they were evicted from their Malibu house for failing to make their rent payments. Van Dyke then had to travel to perform for The Merry Mutes with Philip Erickson. Thankfully, he and Margie had 4 kids while they were dating. In addition, Van Dyke has 7 grandkids and 4 great-grandchildren. He and Margie, however, lacked the funds to be hitched in 1948. Nevertheless, a radio producer stepped in, paid for everything, and sent the couple on their honeymoon. In 1948, Van Dyke and Willett exchanged vows in front of 2 microphones, making their marriage heard by more than 15 million people. All they had to do was do it on his show. Even though she was imaginative and approachable, Margie disliked Hollywood and was frequently overlooked since everyone wanted a piece of her husband. She kept a low profile. Occasionally, individuals believed they were siblings. Once, when I was on a magazine cover, Margie bought 6 copies, and the cashier inquired if she was my mother, Van Dyke recalled to The Guardian. Between 1950 and 1961, he had children. Firstborn was Kristen Van Dyke, but Barry, the second son, arrived only a year later. Stacy, their first child, was born in 1955, and Carrie Beth followed in 1961. As they all appeared on multiple episodes of The Dick Van Dyke Show, Diagnosis, Murder, and The New Dick Van Dyke Show, the kids started following in their father's footsteps at a young age. Due to the participation of Barry's children, the practice has endured through subsequent generations. The actor playfully joked to CNN in 1998, "It's one way to visit your adult children." The performance also featured Barry's adolescent boys and my daughter Stacy. That represents the height of nepotism. Christian, his oldest child, made his television debut on The Dick Van Dyke Show on January 31, 1962. He portrayed a man named Frankie who shook his fingers and sported a fedora. Nonetheless, his time in the entertainment industry was brief. Instead, the son of Van Dyke attended Occidental College in Los Angeles before enrolling at Arizona State University to study law. In Oregon, he graduated to the bar and went on to become a district attorney in multiple counties. He even functioned as Patagonia's vice president of marketing while providing corporate legal advice to Nike. In the end, the couple produced 2 more children. He had a daughter named Jessica with Caroline Heller, but she passed away at the age of 13 from chicken pox and rice syndrome. The whole family stays close, and Christina looks out for his father. Barry, his second kid, liked Hollywood more than his older sibling did. He made his acting debut in 1961 on The Dick Van Dyke Show, and despite Van Dyke's advice to hold off on becoming a real actor until he was older, he persisted in the field. The comedian wanted his son to grow up in a regular environment and didn't want him to become a child actress. The youngsters were somewhat safeguarded on his father's program. Barry, however, misbehaved in school since he was usually the new kid and the family moved around a lot. They ultimately relocated to Los Angeles when Barry was 9 years old, but they were kept out of the spotlight. Barry met his future wife while working at a movie theater during his adolescent years. He then worked as a runner and helper on The New Dick Van Dyke Show. He received several small roles in Galactica, Airwolf, and Casino thanks to the comic, who also helped him secure an agent. He has 3 kids after marrying Mary Carey. Van Dyke was pleased with his son's great parenting. His most notable performance in 1993 was as Steve Sloan in Diagnosis, Murder. According to Barry, "It's an easy character for me to slip into. My father essentially portrays himself. He is exactly how you see him. The warmth and humanity are all quite apparent. I therefore often portray myself, so their connection is very similar to ours." In Murder 101, the father-son team also made an appearance. Barry emphasized how wonderful it was to collaborate with his father. Young Van Dyke kept up his acting career. He starred in Heavenly Deposit in 2019, but being a parent and grandfather is his greatest accomplishment. The screenplay Don't Worry, Sweetheart, starring Florence Pugh, Chris Pine, and Harry Styles, was written by his sons Carrie and Shane. Stacey Van Dyke made multiple appearances on her father's programs, such as Diagnosis, Murder. The comedian claimed that although his daughter took part in multiple school plays, he didn't understand how talented an actress she was until much later. Stacey performed with the Windmill Dinner Theater in the 1970s as a member of the Barnstormers. She chose to avoid the spotlight after getting married to a band member. She appeared in Diagnosis, Murder, Town Without Pity Final. Carrie Beth, the youngest of the bunch, joined The New Van Dyke Show in the 1970s to carry on the family's legacy. But outside that, she has also stayed out of the spotlight. She wed Kevin McNally, who made an appearance in multiple Diagnosis, Murder episodes. Also, they collaborated at the Windmill Dinner Theater. Stacey and her husband were featured in a song that McNally composed about the early stages of their love. In 2015, he posted it to SoundCloud. They have 2 kids and also reside in Los Angeles. Regrettably, their family suffered from a variety of issues, including their parents' addiction. In a hospital in 1972, Van Dyke was treated for alcoholism and was released after 3 weeks. Willett, meantime, was brought to the same location for issues with prescription medications. According to the actor, The Guardian, "I only recognized I was doing my father's mistakes when I started treatment. My mother threatened to leave if he didn't stop drinking when he frequently returned from long road trips, and he eventually stopped. Margie checked in as I checked out at the recovery center where I made a commitment to stop. She wasn't coming to pick me up as I had assumed. Instead, she was addicted to antidepressants. I was clueless. What a couple." Margie eventually stayed at the family ranch in Arizona, moving further away from Hollywood. The comic was still giving it his best go, but he was open about his 25-year drinking addiction. Van Dyke expressed sorrow, saying, "I tried to be a good role model to my children. But I was an alcoholic for 25 years, which unavoidably had an effect on family life." Also, he clarified that their relationship was in trouble and that their drug troubles were a symptom of larger problems. Seeking comfort in Arlene Silver and Michelle Triola, Van Dyke began confiding in Michelle Triola, an actress and the secretary to his agent, as it became evident that he and Willett wouldn't be able to patch things up and keep their marriage going for much longer. Triola was having some problems of her own. After their 6-year romance went sour, she and actor Lee Marvin were involved in a lawsuit. As a result, they found solace in one another, albeit it wasn't simple for Van Dyke. In his autobiography, Keep Going, he stated, "I got sucked into a romance. I had a relationship with a lady other my wife. That was incredible. I was in agony over my sin. By 1976, I had to take action. I have to be truthful." After 36 years of marriage, he and Margie chose to live apart, although their divorce was not formalized until 1984. After then, being with Triola was simple, especially because she was familiar with the entertainment industry. They dated for 35 years, but they never wed. Van Dyke met Arlene Silver, a cosmetics artist who was 46 years his junior, in 2006. Since neither had ever approached a stranger before, the actor decided to introduce himself when they crossed paths in the SAG Awards green room. His makeup artist for the award presentation was Silver. They developed a tight friendship that would eventually lead to a love connection. Sadly, the comic received some devastating news in 2008. Margie, Van Dyke's ex-wife, passed away in 2008 following a protracted fight with pancreatic cancer. "Even though we were long divorced," he said, "even though we were apart for a while, with her passing, I lost a part of myself." Just 1 year later, though, did Michelle's physicians inform her that she had lung cancer. Van Dyke also said, "The toughest acting I've ever done was when she asked whether she was going to die. I pretended I didn't know." Sadly, Michelle lost her fight not long after receiving her diagnosis, but Van Dyke remained there for her during her final hours, even when she slipped into a coma. Before the hospice workers informed him that she had passed away, the actor sang and chatted to her, discovering fresh joy once again. Despite the fact that their relationship began as co-workers, Silver supported Van Dyke following Triola's passing. She would tend to his needs by bringing him food, etc., according to Van Dyke. "She was such a comfort, I fell in love." After all that, he had to wed her, he later admitted on the Oprah Winfrey Network. Funny enough, Silver had no idea who he was. Van Dyke made her watch Mary Poppins and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, since she knew of him but didn't know anything about his career. In the wedding pictures from 2012, they both seemed happy as they walked down the aisle. Robert Palmer, Van Dyke's publicist, said, "Most people genuinely like her, and they have a really wonderful connection." Dick has never been happier despite their evident age gap. She has a big positive impact on his life. Together with Van Dyke's brother, Christian, his son, had some misgivings about Arlene. But after they exchanged vows during the wedding, the comic told The Guardian that his firstborn approached him and said, "Dad, I understand it." Added him, "The age difference is hardly apparent. We meet in the middle since Arlene is incredibly knowledgeable for her age, and I'm emotionally immature." The actor added to Parade that being married to Silver was among his smartest choices in his career. It's amazing to think that Van Dyke is 97 years old and that they are still together. He enjoys having great-grandchildren and grandkids, which his family has blessed him with. "My nickname is Crazy Grandfather. 7 grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, and I have 4 children. If I persevere, maybe I'll end up a great-great-grandfather." In addition, the children embraced Arlene more quickly than the rest of the family. "Her name is grandmother to my grandkids. My 4 kids like her so much." 2013 saw him say to People. Silver and Van Dyke both reside in Malibu. Unexpectedly, Van Dyke's firstborn wasn't the only one who doubted their effectiveness. Silver told the Oprah Winfrey Network that she didn't think it was true. Nobody, including Van Dyke's brother, believed marriage would work given their significant age differences. They aired, though, "The pair shares all they have in common, has an active lifestyle, and dances frequently. She maintains his youth. Silver enjoys singing, and they frequently sing duets together around the house." She even made the decision to learn some of Van Dyke's favorite compositions throughout the epidemic. Silver stated to People, "To keep him singing, I learned all the songs he is familiar with, every standard and show song. They're all people I know now that I didn't know before. They also like inviting everyone who enjoys singing to their home for karaoke parties." 2013's Valentine's Day was similarly spent by them. "We host a karaoke party, and everyone we know who enjoys singing comes over. We all gather in the living room and start singing. It's a custom," the comic elaborated. Silver claims that no one does, though. Instead, everyone joins in as the television plays the words as they sing. "Thanks for watching my video.